Good morning, artist in recovery, Mr. Daryl P. How are we doing this morning? Looks like you're more alive and more awake than I am this early in this morning. It's 1:44 in the morning, West Coast time. It's the 24th of April, 2024. You're a zombie out here in the West Coast. We were John C. Roseman, California. Not alive, not awake. I'm definitely sleep deprived a bit. Anyway, no, I wasn't paying attention to Jelly Roll. I haven't been keeping up with the new artist in over God knows how long. So I wasn't paying attention to what the story about him was. I just mind my own P's and Q's at this point over here. And the story about him being overweight. Shit, a lot of people are overweight these days. I know the feeling. Yeah, there's stories about this one here too. That Overeaters Anonymous should have been involved. In fact, they were involved with my family. A long time ago, as a kid and teenager. I wasn't overweight. I was just a kid with a big scar in his chest. In an open heart surgery at the age of 4 years old. Well, kids have to take care of themselves, right? I really. I think the church would be tough, but shit. I was a guy accident prone left and right. I'd run into a brick wall if I wasn't paying attention. Falling out of trees because I was that clumsy about things. Or having a kid push me into the water because I'm such a gangly kid and feel sorry for me. He actually wants to be a real jerk about things. Oh yeah, I'd get into stuff like that as a kid. Car accident here, elbow broken here. I mean, shit, that was a medical mess and a panic attack from my mother. My brother, the big protector, would get the flack of everything, and I'd get it from David afterwards, months later. But concerning about being overweight, I really didn't have that on people, and people didn't have that on me. I didn't force any issues like that on people's throat. I didn't say, "Hey, you're fat." No, I just saw people differently. But there was one guy out there intimidated the crap out of me when I turned into a teenager. That's for darn sure. Moving from one neighborhood to another neighborhood, and growing up there for about 5, 6 years, you know, junior high to high school. There was this one guy on the street. He used his weight a lot. He intimidated the crap out of me. I know him. I could label him. I could name this guy. I'm not about to. I know him. I think I talked about him earlier in different things. But this guy was had a family who was messed up a little bit. There was only one normal person in their family, and she was going to school, and she didn't give anybody else problems. Only the younger brother and the older brother and the other people who hung around this damn household did. Uh, and CB called himself War Eagle. I couldn't use my CB around this guy because he was that much of an asshole. I wanted to talk to other people out there. But this guy was so damn intimidating, he kept me at home just because of the size. You know, he never did come across as a person I could probably actually would be a friend or an acquaintance. No, he just wanted to be an asshole. Scared me, pissed me off. And as a kid, I was intimidated by this asshole. I had other friends who were multi-ethnic, tall, short, maybe a bit chunky here and there. But I didn't see that. I mean, actually, I saw it, but it didn't occur to me to react to that, saying, "Oh my God, look at her body shape." We didn't do that to each other. I wish I treated him a hell of a lot better than I had. Better friends. But no, I grew up under bullying and intimidation. But then again, I also didn't realize that there was intimidation at the house too, considering about being overweight. Mom was already overweight a little bit. Grandma had already been overweight. Apparently, we had this thing going on in our genes that we're all overweight. The bloodline that we've had for a hell of a long while apparently had forced us to increase our body mass one way or another. We just never figured it. We just never figured it out. Some of us actually kept it off. Males tried to keep it off like crazy by exercising a great deal, and therefore tried to keep the mass off. But the women, unfortunately, turned out to be overweight. Ma kept the overweight going on, even though it was interfering with her back, as we were trying to struggle and dealing with a grandmother who was dying from a stroke. She had been overweight in her life. But nobody jumped on her for being overweight. At least not that I knew of, anyway. Ma hardly ever left the house, and if she did, I don't think anybody else jumped on her because of her weight. Not that I've heard. My brother would have had a conniption fit on people left and right over that one. But for me, I didn't have the overweight problem during that time. I worked my ass off going through school. Wait a second, was I? No, I don't think so. No, but I didn't. I wasn't overweight during that time. At least I didn't think so. Nobody else was jumping on my ass on that one. Going through college, I may have had a bit of a pudge, but worked it off in a few PE classes, racquetball and tennis, handball if necessary. Growing up as an adult. Ma, on the other hand, yeah, she did have the overweight problem when she went over to her company that, that she was working for to sustain us right after Grandma's death. She met someone went over through Overeaters Anonymous, and she began her journey through the 12 step, which got me and my brother eventually into the programs. And she was trying to find a way to get past all the cravings and things that triggered her like crazy to eat food a great deal. These days, I can tell you I've got a lot of triggers on that one or two. I do. But I've also noticed that I've got the camera in the way of getting the pudge without working it off. It's already affecting me a great deal medically at this point. I had to start limiting food. I had to start limiting starch. I had to start eliminating or limiting the sugars I've got. I need to. One way or another, it's going to kill me. But you're talking about body shaming. You're talking about one guy who got body shamed so much that he didn't want to put himself on social media because of the sensitivity. Yeah, I can deal with that one. Oh, they can tell me that I'm fat. I know I'm fat. I'm large. My brother was large. When diabetes was really taking control or getting out of control, he was losing weight because of it. Some people around me for several years have been noticing my weight going up and down. And I hadn't been exercising all that much, so I know the diabetes is still in control at this point. And that's got to be worked on. Next week, go see the doctor, and unfortunately, well, as I said before in my other videos, I don't like dealing with the medical establishment. I never have growing up. I viewed them as the enemy. These days, I got to view them as something else, and I don't like that because I've been comfortably angered at them and frustrated at them for causing a hell of a lot of crap trying to save my ass, trying to, in their own way of dealing out pain and stuff. I've griped and grumbled all my life, and now I got to depend upon the medical establishment for prolonging my miserable life. Now I got to deal with that shit. I've been dealing with therapy for about almost a year and a half or more than that, of trying to make me look and view things in a different light. I'm not saying that the medical establishment's my friend. Never has been. Never will be. But it's going to be a necessary evil to deal with. So now I got to listen to these guys telling me that you got to modify this, you got to modify that. Change has to be done, because if I don't, I know I'm going to die sooner. But if I modify it, maybe I'll live just maybe a year or two longer than that. Now, there had been something in my mother's history I tried not to share about because it is embarrassing as hell. But then again, it's private as hell too, and I always considered about the situation myself. My brother wouldn't have. My brother wouldn't have. He was an avid Coke drinker. Coca-Cola was his drink. Oh, he drank milk. He drank milk. Drank water when he could. But milk and Coke were it. And orange juice if we can get it. Juices. But I found out his blood sugar and his diabetes were out of control. He had to limit that stuff down like crazy. Both milk consumption and soda consumption. You see here a bottle, a 32 ouncer. And one day I can go through this damn stuff. This has got Gatorade and Tang mixture in it. Sugar, 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 sugar. This is a container that has water in it. So yeah, throughout the day, sometimes I'll get it about to half and fill it back up again. Same thing with this. A constant constant diet of vitamin C and orange flavoring. And this, so normally I would keep milk in it. Sometimes I'd fill it up once or twice. That's a lot of liquid going through the body. That's a lot of nutrients going through the body. If it's soluble enough, it'll go through the kidneys and to the bladder, and then multiple trips. But I was going to be saying something about my mother in one way. We came across people who actually had the weight issues left and right. Back in the 90s, they had something like the bariatric treatments. There were certain surgeons out there that dealt with a weight loss program, including uh, a support group, a supposed support group out there. I can tell you one thing: ego really can raise its head on this one, especially for those who are in a support group looking for support, and yet we find control freaks. The bariatric procedures that they actually had would either be using a rubber band or stitching or whatever kind of surgical procedures they have to limit the intake and the processing of food. Well, basically the processing of food itself. And we still would have to limit ourselves of the intake itself. My mother had candy bar problems. Certain types of candy bars that she used as a stress reliever. In dealing with my grandmother and her issues, and not to mention dealing with every other kind of issue happening, she dealt to food. A friend that she met along the way who was in a program, he was also dealing with his own situations regarding food. And she began a trip through Overeaters Anonymous. We met other people who were going through the weight loss struggle as well. Good people to deal with in our lives at the time when they came through. It's wonderful how powers that be can put people in your lives that actually matter the most. And they did at times. Sucks when these paths had to diverge. I was hoping to see him again. I miss him. Anyway, I was talking about the surgical procedure. It was done over at UCLA. Sometimes it could be done through another insurance company. This one was going through Kaiser, and we had to deal with it on Sunset Boulevard for this one. But Ma was going to go through this thing. She was going to go through this thing to get that weight off. She had talked about it with her doctor through her insurance. She wasn't afraid to deal with the medical insurance like anybody else would. I mean, she wasn't afraid to deal with the doctors, period. Me, on the other hand, I'm a psychological nut job over that damn thing. I can't stand them. They try to torment my ass left and right, so yeah, I'm naturally screwed up permanently. So, very distressing soul I am. But now I got to make the steps necessary to talk to doctors about my own damn health. I'm not looking forward to that one. My mother, instead of having an invasive, slight scar, she had a massive one. Almost killed her too in the process of recovery. Managed to stabilize her health. She had to stay about a couple more days in the hospital until she got stabilized, until she got home, and then had to recover a great deal. Got her a scooter for mobility issues. Well, she already had a scooter for mobility issues. This is like back in the 90s, adulthood, working at different jobs, and I didn't care about my weight. But I wasn't getting weight. I was just moving around on a constant basis. I was young enough. I was not going to places for exercising. I just worked, just had to find places to move around, do stuff. My mother got into the recovery group, and for a short time, she liked it until she found out there was power tripping going on, and she couldn't deal with it. So she stayed the hell away from the damn thing. But she also started to lose weight because she was following doctor's orders of a diet. My brother and I had to get that diet for her. She stayed away from her candies. She stayed away from her candies. Me, it's crackers these days. Crackers and Gatorade. I just got a shipment of Tang and Gatorade. I mix them up so I keep the vitamin C going. An orange flavored drink. The problem is there's too much sugar in the damn thing. I like my coffee in the morning. I put too much coffee in it. It's not coffee. It's put too much sugar I put into the damn thing. So now I start limiting my access to coffee these days. I have to drink more and more water. I can have my milk, but I'm not going to do a constant diet of it. Some things I am aware about concerning about my own health and my own weight. When you're talking about body shaming, concerning about a celebrity who wants to get into the game and how he's open season to a lot of fans or a lot of nut jobs out there look at him and think, you can't sing because you're this way. Have you ever seen the Three Tenors or heard of them? Pavarotti, Bocelli. Who's the other guy? Shit, it wasn't Andre. We listened to these guys for decades on this one because my mother was watching them. I knew seeing how fat these guys were. Okay. Placido Domingo, Jose Carrias, and Pavarotti. My mother listened to these guys for decades. She loved these guys. Back in the 90s, these guys were hip. Pavarotti is an Italian favorite, famous Italian guy. This guy had had a hell of a lot of singing. Passed away in 2007 from pancreatic cancer. He had a voice like you would not believe. Had a range on this guy. But he also had a weight problem. His full name is Luciano Pavarotti. And if you would actually do a search on this guy, go to the images, and you would see this one guy who had a gut on him, but he actually had lungs on him. This guy would sing like crazy. But I suppose he also had a weight problem because he was that large of a guy. Let's see, who else we got? I need to look at sliders. And John Rhys Davies. Okay, there we go. John Rhys Davies. Type it on your search engine there, my friend. HNRH. Sorry, my back is driving me crazy here with the engine. I saw this guy in the movie Indiana Jones. I never knew what he was. He's an English actor, but he could play different roles left and right. But the way he looked in the film of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I didn't think, well, actually, I did see him like that. And I'm thinking, my God, what a large man this is. Wonderful guy to meet, I heard. In seeing the film Indiana Jones, I was seeing him playing this one of a digger out in Egypt. Indiana Jones had to find the temple. Actually, he had to find the basically the chest that had the Ten Commandments in it, the lost Ark of the Covenant. But I never realized this guy was a large guy until I saw him. Like, holy crap. Then I started noticing other people and other actors who had weight problems. Some of them did get flack over, and others didn't. How did they deal with their weight issue? Yeah, I know Jelly Roll's got a situation regarding the people jumping on his ass because he's large. He's overweight. And he... Wait, how my damn back scratcher is at? Hang on. I gotta put you on pause. My back's giving me shit right now. Relief. Anyway. I heard some of the actors and actresses a little overweight. Singers, including. The singers would have the greatest voices I'd ever heard, the richest voices out there. Mama Cass, 1960s. Mamas and the Papas. Cass Elliot. I'd hear her voice. I didn't know who the hell she was until I actually saw at the cover of an album that my brother actually had for Mamas and the Papas and listening to it. I'm like, who is this large lady? But she had a voice on her. Mama Cass. Holy crap. There are large people out there in the past that we've dealt with that if we had social media, maybe they would have been dumping on them or not because of the weight, but they had talent. They had talent. These days, with our social media accounts we got, with our platforms, yeah, we are bullies. Because we got a problem with our own damn selves at this point over here. We're embarrassed to see a reflection in the mirror. And we see the reflection in everybody else who seems to be having a better time at life than we are, or struggling through their own life than we are. I had seen my mother struggle through weight and had to do the drastic of getting surgery. My brother and I, here, I'll give you something here. My brother and I had to, in our adulthood, not getting up in advanced years, but just in the 20s or 30s and somewhere in that area. And I was showing a paunch. I was about maybe 30 or 40, maybe, overweight, over my ideal. Should have been. And I was going through my mother's insurance. Of course, I had my own insurance, but going in between jobs, you have going in between medical insurance left and right. But the program she had got me and my brother hooked into was called Freedom from Fat. It was a Kaiser program back in the 90s that allowed me and my brother to go through a weight loss program. We had to get weighed, we had to get blood tested. And about a 10 to 12 week course. Big, huge, thick binders of stuff we read about. New material is shoving in these damn things. Uh, a count on calories. Certain food products, certain fast foods, certain things in there would have point systems, calorie systems, things that we'd use number crunching on to make sure that we follow these things, these guidelines, that we understand about these steps. If we wanted a certain fast food, we would have to limit it with special orders in order to achieve one particular balance. In order to lose maybe a weight, a pound or two, maybe a few ounces if necessary, and we'd have to go through it the beginning of the program and then after the program. I wish I'd been back on it. I mean, it would have been a great program for me to get to. But it's a volunteer thing. I mean, it used to be about 20 people, and after the class ended, we had maybe about 5 or 6 people in it. They couldn't deal with it. It was basically modifying your behavior and what you're going to be eating and what you're not going to be dealing with. So that's what we're dealing with is that. They got to give me cream for my damn back. It's for damn sure. It's a nightmare and also a necessary tool. Back scratchers. But at the end of that program, I must have lost about 5 or 6 pounds. I had to look at it as a win. Because certain dietary behaviors I had to do within the past 2 or 3 months on this thing. You look at the fast food, you see all the ingredients on there, and what would be the better option if you were going for fast food? Well, basically cook your own damn stuff at home. But what happens if you're still doing the fast food and you want it? You had to be totally aware of how much this is going to be affecting you. It's like seeing uh, the weight loss programs out there, Weight Watchers, go through points. Certain foods will be at certain points at this point over here. And I never could understand a weight loss program like that. But deal with the calorie counts, that's a different story altogether. Unit pricing. Well, we already knew about unit pricing a long time ago. Was it necessary to get a huge package from different places for your food, or could you deal with the smaller portions? Mr. Jelly Roll is going to deal with his own way. He stayed off of social media because he didn't want anybody else jumping on his ass for this. Because, yes, he is a sensitive soul. Because after you look at yourself in the mirror, you feel like you're a piece of shit. You're worthless as hell. That's what you keep telling yourself in the mirror every single day. Not looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, eh. I look at myself, not in the mirror all the time, but I look at myself in a camera. And sometimes I'm not even looking at myself at all until I see myself in the camera. Then I'm like, oh Lord, I'm going to be pushing 60 in a couple of years or less. And I'm going to die a Jabba the Hutt. It's insulting to say that, but I already am a fool. I'm an idiot. But I'm not laughing about it either. Some things I can change, and other things I'm not. Not yet, anyway, but I should have a long time ago. Maybe it's too late. I don't know. But every single day I've got an option or an opportunity not to indulge in a lot of things. Once in a great while, it's a treat of dealing with candy. I'd gotten Easter candy. Uh, Stuff I liked was the Hershey eggs and Reese's peanut bars. I love them. I was growing up as a kid. That was my diet. We have Easter. Oh yeah, I'd go through that stuff. Screw the jelly beans or the other solid chocolate bunny stuff. I mean, I ate this stuff. It was a piece of peanut butter, chocolate and peanut butter. That would have been my candy of choice all the time if I was going for a candy fix all the time, but I didn't. Of course, I'd be a chips man myself, but I haven't been doing that in a little while. These days, I wanted my salt and I wanted my cheese, so yeah, I go for the cheese crackers. But also, there'd been times I'd be doing peanuts and raisins, or just getting a trail mix, sorting this shit out. Put the candy in the side, and then deal with the nuts and raisins. It's not that bad. I'm dealing with cereal that's great grains, they called it. It has some fruit in it, but a lot of roughage in it. Mixing it with another type of cereal, and I've got roughage going through the system. Pipe cleaners. And yeah, I do like starch. I haven't been doing the pasta like I should have been doing, but I do the rice when I can. Ramen noodles, yeah. Fried potatoes like crazy. I mean, I miss the world of using an oven, Daryl. You could bake stuff in the damn thing. I could bake healthy stuff. There was one recipe I learned from someone that my brother had dated once on how to do chicken the right way. Season it up a bit. Then you throw in the vegetables. Actually, you throw in the peppers and the onions in it for flavoring. I'm getting into the frozen bag of frozen vegetables like my family used to do a long time ago. Throw a bit of soy sauce in them. It's not that bad, especially when you have rice in it. You make it into a beef bowl or a chicken bowl. So that's not bad. I can do these things. I can put myself in a situation here. I don't have to eat candy all the time. I've got candy. I just don't eat it all the time. When I'm doing more and more of the crackers, the cheese nips, or Cheez-Its actually. I need more of the peanuts and the raisins. More of the almonds. I need a roughage. In fact, concerning about what Jelly Roll needs, he probably wants to do something with about his own weight. And yes, he's trying to stay off the radar. He's trying to stay off the radar. But unfortunately, because he's obtaining stardom, he's going to be open season at the point. It doesn't matter if he's off the social media or not, they're going to go after him. Because people with screwed up thinking, who are hating themselves in life, they want to make someone else feel that bad because they're feeling that bad. They want to be royal assholes and assholettes about it. I'll tell you something about the people back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. There were large people back then, too, who made their own bones, so to speak. Their own stardom. Yeah, Jelly Roll's among one of those trying to get a stardom going on. But he wants people to pay attention to his music, not his size. Problem is, they're not going to let him on that one. So he's got to keep up with the fight on that one. He's got to keep up with his own positive attitude. He's got to keep up with his own battle with his weight, both mind, body, and soul at this point. And also, he's got to come to the point of being comfortable with himself. He's got to look at himself as a worthwhile, decent human being. There'll be people out there yelling and screaming what kind of a lousy human being he is, one way or another. They'll try to belittle his ass left and right. But the only thing he's got to do is keep smiling at these bastards, even though he's crying on the inside. Say, if you wanted to start him, this is what's going on. This is what you got to go through. You got to go through the humiliations. You got to go through the insanity of it all. You wanted this shit? Well, there's a cost to it. There always is a cost to this damn shit. And with that, maybe I'm going back to bed.